over the next 7 weeks on my YouTube channel, I am going to be taking you through a mini course of the private practice workflow. Now, what is a private practice workflow? Basically, what it is all of the admin procedures for your client journey from start to finish. So if you think about everything that you need to do for a client from when they first inquire with you until they finish with you, all of the procedures in there are what I call the private practice workflow, and there are 7. So the first one is the inquiry. The second one is onboarding. The third one are the regular bookings. The fourth one is communication. The fifth one is invoicing. The sixth one is client reports or client notes. And the 7th one is offboarding. I'm going to do one video for each of these areas, and I'm going to help you create your own private practice workflow, your own client journey for your private practice. This is going to be really valuable, and I would really love for you to start at the beginning. So whether you're on video 2, video 3, video 5, I want you to go back and start from video 1. It's going to really help you put everything in order so that you can create this for your own practice. I'm also going to create a mini course out of this. So I'll leave a link in the description. Once it's created, you'll be able to click the link and log on Thinkific so that you can go through the course, and it will have all of the resources that I talk about all in one place, so you don't have to sign up for all the different free resources, because I go through quite a lot in each of the videos. So let's get started right away, and in this video we are going to be talking about offboarding. So when I use the term offboarding, what I really mean is any procedures that you are going to have in place when you finish working with a client. Now, some of these procedures might just be in the session itself, and some of them might be after the session with the client, and some of them might be in the back end, so just for yourself in private practice. So this is really going to depend on how you work with clients, your modality, like all the things. It's also going to depend on how much notice they've given you that they want to finish sessions with you, whether you've come to that decision together or whether the client has just decided this is our last session. So that is definitely going to differ on a therapist by therapist and client by client basis, and that's not what kind of my expertise is in, so it's not what I'm going to talk about. So what I'm going to talk about is how you would end it with a client from an admin point of view, and also what you would do in your practice to close off that working relationship. So all of my clients really have different ways that they like to finish working with clients. The one thing I would say is you definitely want to make sure that all of your payments are up to date, because that's something that you are going to have to make your client aware of. If they owe any money, you want to make sure that that is put in writing. If you have an opportunity to look at that before your final session, that's a good idea too, just to mention it in session, just to kind of end things nicely there. But then you also want to put that in writing. And if you can, I would also attach a specific invoice as like a final balance. So whether you have sent them individual invoices already and you can just attach all of them in one go, or whether you can just create kind of one final invoice for how much is outstanding. It's definitely something to work out before you meet with your client though, if possible. What you also might want to think about is letting them know about your return policy. Do you accept people coming back to you after they finished working with you? Do you let them book in ad hoc sessions, just kind of like check-ins for people that you've worked with in the past? Do you send them a report on their progress, like this is what your goals from therapy were, this is what we've worked on, these are some recommendations for you? So it's always good to just have a think about how you want to end things with clients. 99% of the time, this is how I'll end with clients. And then just come up with an end of therapy email template that you can create for clients once they finish. All of these things are obviously optional. I have clients that do all of them. I have clients that kind of do none of them, apart from just letting them know that if they owe any money and that they can come back and do check-ins, or that they're welcome to come back anytime if they feel that they would like to take up therapy again. So it's just good to have a think about what you would like from an ending with a client. I also don't think it does any harm sending feedback forms. They don't have to complete them, but it also does help you become a better therapist if you understand from the client's point of view how they found therapy with you, and what you ask them in there is totally up to you. And sending them a final kind of graduation report on what you've worked on, any techniques that you've taught them that you'd like to remind them of, and any resources that they can have. I also think it's just a great way to end working with somebody. From the back end point of view, what do you need to do to confirm that that client has finished with you? Well, if you are using my client master list, I would suggest moving the client from the current clients to the ended clients and making a note of when the last time you saw the client was. And this is going to be for, you know, GDPR and also your own accreditation regulations and insurance policies, where you need to keep records for a certain number of years. So you want to make note of when the last time you saw that person was, because when you're doing like an annual spring clean of your client files, you'll know which ones you can dispose of and which ones you still need to keep. If you're using a system like Power Diary, it might just be as simple as a status change. So on Power Diary, in the client profile, you can have their status, whether they're an inquiry, they're an active client, or whether they're no longer an active client. So you could just use that. But again, I would keep a record in the notes of the last time you saw them. Obviously, with a system like an EHR, it's very easy to see the last time you saw them because you'll have their last appointment on the system and that's already saved. But I would just use that as backup as well, just having like the last session noted somewhere on that client profile. You may also want to do follow-ups yourself. So maybe you have agreed with the client that you'll follow up with them in 6 months' time or something like that. So I would also make sure that that is put somewhere electronically, like your Google Calendar, so that it sends you a reminder, because you're probably not going to remember to contact client X in 6 months' time if it's just written in your diary. Okay, so that was a video all about offboarding, some important reminders. Make sure you know if the client owes you any money, if possible, before your last session, and make sure you're sending them an invoice for the outstanding money. Have a think about what you want to put in that kind of final communication with your client, such as your return policy, such as any resources that you would like them to have, or a feedback form. And then finally, how you are going to do the administration of the offboarding with your clients using the master client list and making a note of the last time that you saw that client for insurance purposes and things like that. That is our final video of the private practice workflow. I really hope you found this whole series really useful and it's really helped you put in place some procedures for your private practice. Remember to check the description below, because I will have a link to the full series from inquiry all the way to offboarding. So as this is the last video, that is going to be ready really soon, so make sure you check out the description for that. And as always, thanks so much for watching.